Quite recently, I made a Paladins video going back playing the game once more in order to see how it's doing now in 2024. Some of you guys seem to enjoy it, so I thought I'd make another Paladins video since I've been thinking what would happen and how a new Paladins game would look and feel like, meaning a Paladins 2. Would you like to see a Paladins 2 game, or would it be better with some sort of remake instead when it comes to the already existing game? In order to answer that question, or at least get some indications what people in the community thinks about it, I've been looking around on the internet, and I can see that there's definitely different thoughts and opinions about this topic or topics. Because if there would be a sequel, a lot of players most likely would have to give up skins that they have unlocked or bought, which is one reason why some people hesitate when it comes to the idea of a Paladin sequel. If they aren't able to transfer these skins into a new game, of course, which could be possible, we've seen that happening in other games, but there could be also legal aspects or reason hindering that, or simply technical reasons that we'll get to later. Some players see benefits with a new game, such as a cleaner code, since some bugs may be related to older code that has been modified by multiple developers since 2016 and before. They would disappear most likely when using a new and better graphics engine, also in combination with modifying the core of the game into a more solid structure. Sure, there could of course be problems around, which often is the case also with newer games and technologies, but it would be a chance to use the experiences they've gotten from all these years when it comes to developing Paladins and also the new tech stuff around. But it's a big step going from one engine also to another from a technical point of view, meaning from Unreal Engine 3 to, well, let's say Unreal Engine 5. Or even 4, since that would be the most natural choice, you might say, if Paladins would run on a new engine. So overall, that is a tougher task compared to what Overwatch has done when it comes to Overwatch 2, since both Overwatch games are running on almost identical graphic engines. But Smite, for example, is a Hi-Rez game, and a Smite 2 game is coming, and they've also upgraded to Unreal Engine 5, so who knows? Seems as if skins achieved in Smite 1 will be lost, but you will get 50% discount coupons based on the amount of gems you bought in Smite 1. Could also be worth saying that Smite 1 will still be up and running, meaning playable after the Smite 2 release. That will come later this year, not sure, there's not a date yet from what I've seen. So I'm looking forward to see how that plays out. Another aspect, of course, when it comes to a Paladins 2 game is the financial aspect, meaning if Hi-Rez Studios believe that it would be worth the investment. Would they be able to get a player base that would be big enough so that they could get back the time and money invested in the new game? Because I guess they've also monitored, for example, how Overwatch 2 has played out, and therefore maybe hesitates when it comes to such an investment. Especially also since Overwatch is a game or a franchise that even if a sequel is somewhat underperforming, people still talk about Overwatch as a game. So again, making and then marketing a Paladins 2 game could therefore be a tough task also from a competition kind of perspective, making it hard to get the right focus and momentum in order to get those good reviews coming and content creators hype that a new Paladins game most likely would need if it would grow and do well, or be able to grow and do well. So with that in mind, a remake of the already existing game could be a better idea and fit for both Hi-Rez Studios and also the community. Skins would likely though be lost also here, since there would be an upgrade to Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5, but if players got compensated accordingly, then I guess it would be okay. But is the player base big enough to justify a remaster instead as an alternative to a sequel? There's currently around 5k plus players according to the Steam charts, so even though you would see a spike most likely initially after a Paladins remake launch, would they or the game overall be able to keep up the interest to keep those numbers growing steady, or at least stay at a higher number compared to what we see today? These are questions that most new games and developers are facing at some point, but something they have to think through carefully before pressing the go button. I saw someone saying that at some point several former developers said that they had started designing a Paladins 2 game, and that they would use the Rogue Company system, but in the end the project was paused or tired. If anyone have heard anything about this, let me know. It sounds a bit vague, I have to say, and maybe it's only a rumor, it's hard to know again. The more negative, or should we say maybe realistic voices that are sharing their thoughts about a Paladins 2 game being possible believes that a Paladins 2 would never survive, especially since the support for Paladins nowadays, at least, is a vocal minority. One player says that players within the community continue to call the game dead, neglected, a trend-chasing game, and players outside the community continue to call it an Overwatch ripoff that should have died like 6 years ago. By saying this, he means that the game lacks the community's respect. He believes that the big parts of the community thinks that the developers don't care about Paladins or funnel its funds over to other projects like DKO, Smite, or Rogue Company. Is this something that you believe or think is happening? I'm asking since I've heard people saying positive things about some of the latest updates and the new season, meaning that the game has been going in a somewhat better and more positive direction recently. Feel free to fill in here. I believe the bottom line when it comes to this guy's thoughts and opinion is that we, meaning the community, need to give the numbers for Hi-Rez Studios to be sure that it's worth the time for them, money and effort to work on a sequel to Paladins, that it's worth hiring new people or rehiring older team members to the studio. There's indeed a lot of things to consider here, some of technical nature, but some more general things to consider, such as if it's worth the time and investment for the company, meaning Hi-Rez, if they would start working on a possible sequel or a remake instead for that sake. This is where you also come in as someone watching the video, since I would love to hear from you when it comes to what you think about this. Feel free to share your thoughts and opinion in the comments, since I seem to be one of the few content creators nowadays that still are actually taking the time to read your comments and also try to answer them accordingly. At least that's my goal. With that said, we've reached an end of this video, so if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if you want to see more FPS content coming your way, then make sure to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.